Week I felt was a significant move because it did something very unusual for this place. People coming forward and declaring the knowledge of your origin and identity. And you confirmed publicly that you are light and that you know that your origin and family is light. It doesn't seem to be that important in the context of a basement thing in Forked River and so forth and so on. But it's important to you individually. All of these things are not so much outside there as they are inside of you. Because if you look at how things change and how consciousness, and that word's even getting overused, I'm getting tired of that one, and energy and all, we got to think up new words. But if you understand how these things change, it happens from an inner change, which has its then effect on the material world outside. But those who came last week, and simply, I simply said, who are you? And they said, I am light. And where are you from? I am from the light. And it gave you an opportunity for the first time to declare your identity other than your physical identity and the name given to you and the condition given to you by your parents. So you separated from the misinformation that has come out of religion and identified you with your physical body. And this is one of the most difficult things in dealing with people of all persuasions, regardless of what religion they belong to. People who consider themselves advanced in the New Age will call me back to the teachings of Buddha or the Hindus or Edgar Cayce and people like that. And all of these were very interesting. They all had very interesting things to tell us. But they also have one thing in common, and that was they have no knowledge or understood nothing of the subatomic. They didn't understand that at all. To them it was a spirit thing. It was a soul thing. It's still very hard even for some people here. They start talking about the spirit or the soul. And then to put it into a realm of reality that it is in the realm of the subatomic, they'd rather think of something divine that we floated in either into a prayerful or meditative state. That's why I follow so closely the knowledge as given to us by the ancient Greeks, because not only did they understand the nature of the human brain and the mind, but they also spoke of the subatomic. They spoke of quantum through Zeno. They spoke of atom and electron through Democritus. So, when you look at the Bible, as I look at it, as a Greek document, and where people will say, well, the Old Testament was Jewish. Well, the Old Testament was, but then it was changed, and it became a Greek document in 300 BC. The entire New Testament is a Greek document. So the book from one cover to the other cover is Greek. And when you start talking about the things that are in there, the speed of light and all of these other different things, then you run smack into people like Zeno and Democritus and things like this. And so the origin of your scriptures has a lot of scientific credibility to it. So basically, with all due respect to whether it be Edgar Cayce or whoever it may be, or Buddhists or whatever, I am more inclined to listen to those who can explain to me what these strange invisible things are. To say there are strange invisible things and they're the power of God, is quite obvious. But when you get to the point where you can actually start explaining what are these things, that's important, because then you and I can become part of them. I recently just put a document out on the internet, on our website, that deals with ghosts. Are ghosts real? After all, people see them. Ghostbusters chase them. I mean, there really are such things as Ghostbusters. When people see ghosts in the place, they call these guys and they move in with all of their equipment and everything, and they look for ghosts. Visions of, and they see people in gowns and in uniforms, and they rocking in rocking chairs and floating through the hallways and going up and down the stairs and all of this kind of stuff. When I objected to the reality of ghosts, I received writings from people who had seen ghosts, and they would start telling me about the Buddhist writings and all kinds of documentation from long ago relative to ghosts, that they see ghosts. I will tell anyone, anytime, and from what comes from me, regardless of what anyone says, that there are no such things. as ghosts, no matter how often people have seen them, no matter where they've seen them. But they do see something. And I have no question about that. They really do. But what is it that they see? What is it that lurks in places where life has been either violent or chaotic or unusual, to say the least? You know, somebody goes in and, you know, there's ghosts in this place, you know. I mean, if the house that I was living in when I was a kid was still standing, it would be a prime location for ghosts, because it was a nut house. I mean, you're talking about vibration, negative vibration, the whole place would shake. I received an email from one person who said she and her boyfriend had been out in a car, and as they were coming down this road, they saw these 3 people standing by the woods, and they looked confused, and she said to her boyfriend, "Stop, do you think we should stop to help those people?" And he said, "What people? There are no people there." So the next day she told her father what she saw, that she had saw these people by the woods, and her father and her boyfriend did, and her father said that that's interesting because there had been a bad automobile accident there that night, and 3 people were killed. So as far as this woman was concerned, she said, "You can't tell me," because she said, "I know, I saw these ghosts." But I wrote back to her, I said, "No, I know you did see them, but you have to admit also that your boyfriend didn't." So let's consider the ether. Not the ether bunny, or not happy ether, but ether, E-T-H-E-R. The air. In the air here, right now, in this room, there are tons of ghosts. There are ghosts all over the place, in this room. A transmission has been made by a television transmitter. Electrical signals have been put into the ether. Now, if you can find the right receiver that can take you to the proper frequency and translate the electrical signal, these ghosts which are currently in the ether in this room suddenly can become a picture that you can see. Running through this room were buffaloes. There were people fighting, shooting in this room. There are all kinds of things happening in here. But you have to somehow get a receiver that can translate the electrical signals and show you a picture. And what you're looking at when you see it is not what's there. It's what was there. In other words, somebody had transmitted it before. Now you're seeing something that is as a result of an electrical signal being translated by a piece of equipment. Well, the question is, do people transmit electrical energy? And you know they do. I mean, you can walk into a room and you can get bad vibes. And sometimes boy, you know, this place, I feel good. I've had people say they felt good just being in here. But if people transmit electrical energy, would the electrical energy in the place of a murder or a suicide or extreme behavior be more powerful and linger longer than it might in another place? If this is the case, then let's consider a violent accident. There's a violent accident. The energy is awesome. The bodies are carted away. The car is taken away. Then on the scene come 2 people. One of these persons is very sensitive and open to this energy and picks up this energy. And the photon activity inside of the brain of this person converts that electrical energy, and the person sees a picture of what was. Sees a picture that was created by the electrical energy that came from this particular place. The interesting thing is, what that person is seeing is not really out there, it's in here. It's like Joan and I went down to this guy, and I had encouraged everybody that could get down to the Sands Hotel to see this hypnotist down there. This guy has the capacity, as an external energy, through his energy and through his suggestion, to put into the minds of sensitive people. And that's important because he starts with 60 and winds up with about 12. Sensitive people. He'll tell people that they're going to see something. And they do. And yet it's not there. But they'll scream and they'll hold their eyes and they'll run and they can't believe what they're seeing. They'll hear voices coming out of the wristwatch. He goes over to the guy and says, "What are you doing over there?" "Well, I'm listening." "Go. The guy's talking. You know, but there's nobody talking. How is it possible?" Because the human brain is like a television set. And when it takes up on external suggestion or external energy, electrical energy, it can translate. The photon activity translates and provides you a picture. Did you ever think of this? And this is one of the things. In fact, I had one guy who initially said I was completely wrong, turned back and write me back, and he said, I heard what you said, I totally agree. And this was the point. If you want to say that ghosts have this people have electrical energy and they can, flit around in the sweet by and by and you can see them, but they all have clothes on. They have flowing, beautiful evening gowns on. Or army uniforms or whatever. Rocking and rocking chair and all of this stuff. How? Do clothes get reincarnated too? Or what did they buy? Where did the ghost buy that gown? It's a really nice gown. I mean, does it make a bit of sense? So what is it? It's here. The energy is in the room, no doubt about it. The television receiver, which is the mind, comes into the room, and some people are not sensitive and see nothing. I don't see any. What are you talking about? Ghosts. Do you remember the Amityville horror? All kinds of hell going on in that house until the people moved out. The new people moved in. There's no more ghosts. The ghosts went with the people that were there because it was in here. Doesn't say, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It exists, but it's a combination of electrical energy in a particular room and then the mind, a human mind, which translates that energy into a vision or a picture. But what they're seeing is in here, not in the room. So when the guy said he had sent me a whole thing of email proving there were ghosts, and he wrote me back, he says, when you said they have clothes on, he said, I never thought of that. That's right. The mind picks up the violent energy and translates it into a picture, and that is inside the mind of the observer. So why is this so important to you? The picture is not in the room. The ghost or this woman that you see holding a candelabra, they always have candelabras and the candles are lit and they have evening gowns on. All right, but it's really there to the person who saw it. To the person who picked up the energy and had it translated, it's in here, but they're saying this. I mean, okay. But it's in the observer's mind, but appears to the observer as if it is in the room. Energy in the form of suggestion. Suggestion in the form of energy, and you see things that are related. Now, this is why it is so important. And I'm talking about your encounter with light beings. And that's one of the points I had to try to make a difference with people. I said, look, I'm saying there's no such thing as ghosts. I'm saying dead people do not show up walking down a hall. But live people, light beings, if you would, very much so, who can manifest in a physical body and then dematerialize out of a physical body, I say yes. So you have identified yourself. Here last week you identified yourself as from the light. Now you will know them as you are known. It's starting to get hot in here. So what I wanted to do then, if we could just look at the Bible for a minute, and if you want to, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. It doesn't make any difference to me. But let's look and see how this happens. If indeed you're going to pick up energy, electrical energy, that is going to translate itself into a picture that you're going to call a ghost, it's going to go through the pineal gland of the brain. That's the light receptor of the body. So that's where you're going to pick this up. So a very sensitive person is going to see something that you may not see. And it doesn't have to be related just to ghosts. A lot of people will have visions or whatever and see things that other people can't see. But that's another story. But let's take a look at page 939 of the Bible. It's 1 Corinthians 13:12. And it says, "For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face." Let's look at that. Face to face. Okay, remember, you're reading this Greek. This is Greek mythology. You read it. "Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even also as I am known." So I'm going to know them in the realm of light as they know me in the realm of light. That's why it was very important that you last week came up here and made a declaration or a confirmation, as you would, that you understand that you are light and you are from the light. You are not the child of your parents in the form that we're talking about here. So here then you're going to know them as they'll know you, and that is in this realm of light. But it says here, now you're trying to figure all of this out. You're looking through this darkly, but then face to face. Okay? Now if you go to page 28 of the Bible, you'll go to Genesis, and in Genesis chapter 32, on page 28, there's a scripture that says, "And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face." Peniel, face to face. I mean, is this, this could be one wild coincidence, or is this what's talked about here? Why? How could you see God face to face? Well, because the Bible says God is light. All right? If God is light, where's the light receptor of the body? The light receptor of the body is the pineal gland. And it says right there that you're going to see God face to face. And it says in Genesis that he saw God face to face. And what's the name of the place where he saw God face to face? Peniel. You have to look, you have to see that. But you have to see that for yourself, but it's in the Bible. You don't have to go very far. You don't have to pick up a New Age magazine. It's there. So how will you know, and how will you be known? Via the pineal gland, face to face. That's what the Bible says. So then, just as the ghost theory, you will receive energy from light beings because you are now known to them, because you identified yourself. So you will receive energy from them. They can come here and say, okay, these people are safe, we can go near them. How? Because they have already declared themselves that they realize they are part of us, they are of light, they're from light, so we can go to them. Now, how are they going to make themselves known to you? You then are becoming sensitive. That's why your meditation is so critically important now. You are going to be sensitive to the electrical energy. You are going to pick up on the electrical energy, and this television set that's on top of your shoulders is going to translate that electrical energy into a picture. The picture is not going to be out there. Nobody else near you is going to be able to see that picture. Your picture is going to be in here, but you'll see it loud and clear. So nobody's going to be standing next to you, but somebody is going to be standing next to you in appearance. And yet somebody else, if they said, who are you talking to? And then when you tell them who you're talking to, and then when they run up the stairs and out the door and the police come, and you can explain, where you got all this information from. So you see. Now what's the difference then? I wish you could go to Atlantic City and see this hypnotist and you'd get a better idea what we're talking about. But what is the difference of, say, this hypnotist being the light being and placing external energy, which he does. He holds on to these people. He says, look into my eyes, and now I'm going to tell you something. When I say this word, this is what you're going to say. I mean, they told the people up there sitting on the stage, there was about 12 of them, he said to them, when I say this word, you're going to look in the audience, and everybody in the audience is going to have no clothes on. Or we're going to be naked. And he said the word, and they jumping up and screaming, and women are running away from their chairs and all this. Oh my God, and they couldn't believe it. And he said, would everybody in the audience please stand up? Everybody stand up. And people went, but they saw this. But the serious part of this was, somehow, he had interfered with the process in their mind, and they actually saw what nobody else could see. So, if the hypnotist is a light being, he's an external source of energy. He places through this statement into the mind this suggestion, and people who ordinarily would not see these things suddenly see these very strange things. Swatting flies and doing all of these things that aren't there, totally through this external suggestion. So when you receive this light, you will translate it via photon, and it will create a picture. But you have to remember, this is yours. You can't expect the guy in church across the street to see this. He can't see it. And the idea is, remember, when the hypnotist in Atlantic City brings 60 people up onto the stage, he says, okay, let's send the rest of them back to their seats and give them a hand for trying. 47 of them didn't make it. He found 13 people who were sensitive. And this is why, I'm talking to you about that 5-second meditation. And I was telling the people last night about doing that, and I reiterated to you, especially, tomorrow Pluto and Chiron have arrived. Tomorrow. Not 100 years from now, tomorrow. They'll be there. Tomorrow, Pluto opens the door on the next world. Tomorrow. February 11th, Chiron's boat left the dock, crossed the river Styx, which is Neptune, and tomorrow they arrive. The door opens, and the universe will never be the same because it's been changed. In the middle of the Aquarian age, which is the age of confusion and turning everything upside down. Uranus rumbling, screaming, coming back to get you. So let us consider any scientific evidence relative to what is known of the brain and see if there's any validity for this claim. Because what we need to look at the scriptures which we've looked at. We need to look at the scientific evidence which we will look at. And then you need to look at the news as to what's happening. I mean, it's not just Y2K happening. In the middle of this summer, the 11-year cycle of solar storms is going to occur, and it's going to, they say, raise tremendous havoc with communication systems. So, I mean, it's confusion. That's what it is. It's chaos, and it is confusion. And you have to have your little ark here, which is this room, your refuge, where you can make sure that you're in a harmony with what is coming down. I mean, I can't tell you. I don't know what you have to do that is important, and I'm sure you all have things that are very, very important. And we kid about this and say, well, it's not a cult. Well, really, it isn't. I have no business. You do whatever you want. You don't do that. It's none of my business at all. I'm simply saying to you, you don't have to rely on what I'm saying to have proof that something strange is going on. All you have to do is turn on your television set and pick up the newspaper. And you should be preparing this because it's you and your family. And if you don't, then you get to a point where, gosh, it's too late. And I'm getting clobbered here. And you have to realize that you have to be sensitive to that electrical energy that is coming down that will show you and describe to you and outline for you what to do. And you don't have to wait a whole lot of time to see if what I'm talking about is coming true or not, because you're only a few months from this 2000 business and only a day from Pluto and Chiron. But do we have any kind of evidence to suggest scientifically that what I'm talking about has validity? If I gave you this once before, but we kind of rushed through it, and it would be better to slow ourselves down a little bit. If you look at the stuff, if you have it with you, 110, it's Carmela. 110, there is an article from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and it's called Lifestyle. And the subheadline is Scanning the Brain's Sense of Divinity. Now, this investigation was carried out by scientists, not New Age people, not religious people. These are scientists, but they were trying to find out, does anything happen when you meditate? Because to come in here and sit in the dark and listen to some sounds and then go home and say or to stand there and say I'm watching myself. And then after maybe 20 times that, say, no, this is nuts. This is the tendency of what you will do. Yeah. But what this article is saying, if you look at it, is that brain research, if you look at the first page and about the fourth paragraph down, it says, now, brain research suggests that such beatific, those are like angelic visions, can be described neurologically in terms, and then you have to turn it over, of eruptive overflows, reverberating circuits, blood flows, and blockages involving the prefrontal cortex and various lobes of the brain. In other words, the word beatific is the word that you want to look at there. What was said there in this article in the Philadelphia Inquirer by these scientists is that they seem to have located the part of the brain that reacts to meditation. Okay. Now it says that in a 2-year study, I don't know if I could find that. I should have. let's see. Okay, if you look down about the third paragraph, it starts in a talk on science in the soul. It says that in a 2-year study of the people, of the brains of people engaged in Buddhist meditation, there is mounting evidence that sensations of calm, unity means coming together, and transcendence, which means moving beyond, correspond to increased activities in the brain's front lobes behind the forehead, okay, which is the location of the pineal gland, and decreased activity in the parietal, or whatever that word is, lobes at the top rear of the head. Behind the forehead is the location of the single eye or pineal gland. And this scientist gave a talk, and the talk, as you can see in I think the 4th paragraph down, was entitled, "Why God Won't Go Away." The article says, by that he means an intuition of transcendent, you see what it says, that paragraph opening Newberg de Quilly, by that he says an intuition of transcendent reality. Now this is the most important thing that these scientists found. This is what, read it. If you have it, show it to somebody. This one thing that I'm trying to show you. If you look in that first column, you go down about the 4th paragraph or 5th paragraph, it starts, Newberg de Quilly's research associate since 1993. Why God won't go away. But this is the important sentence. By that, he means an intuition of transcendent reality may be hardwired into the human brain. In other words, it was placed in there for you to find it and use it. Hardwired is just what it means. I mean, you know, in order to get the lights to work in this building, an electrician had to come in and put the wires in. And the purpose of the electrician putting the wires in is so that we could have light in here. So then what they're saying is, what is the purpose of this being hardwired into the brain? And the purpose of it being hardwired into the brain is so that you can transcend and that you can make contact, okay? Now the article says here, where it says they propose that the brain's amygdala, I want to find where I didn't, anybody find where that is? They propose that, okay, if you go to the second column down, about the 3rd paragraph, it says, you see where it says, they propose that the brain's amygdala translates sensory impressions into emotions, generates a sense of religious awe. Why is that important? Because if you go back in the stuff to the early part, I think it's on page 2A, you'll see the word amygdala. A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A. The word means almonds. A-L-M-O-N-D-S. Why is that important? Because in the Bible, one of the things that's kept in the temple, which is your head, is Aaron's rod, which is the spine which directs your life. Aaron was the leader. He was the director. And the rod is the spine. It is the direction that comes. And the important thing about that rod that was in the box in the temple was that it budded almonds. It was the amygdala. The amygdala is located right at the top of the spine. And so what they're saying here, it is the amygdala which translates sensory impressions and generates a sense of religious awe. So that goes right hand in hand with what it says in the Old Testament. We're there in the holy place, in the sanctuary, in the box, they have Aaron's rod that budded almonds. The spine, the amygdala, and then the elevation into what these guys are calling religious awe. The article goes on, and it says, what intrigues, if you go in the second column in the middle, go down about the, right next to where it says describing visions in neurological terms, it says, what intrigues de Quilly and Newberg is how religious rituals and practices stimulate, now watch this one, the two major systems of the autonomic system, the two major subsystems of the autonomic systems. And it says they propose that certain religious practices, okay, if you go down about the 6th paragraph, you see about 2 paragraphs under where it says describing visions in neurological terms. They propose that certain religious practices can so stimulate the body's calm system or its flight system that activity in the related brain circuit starts to reverberate while simultaneously shutting down ever more of the other system. So what does the Bible say? Take no thought. You are stimulating this other system, other worldly system, and you are shutting down that which is the left. You're stimulating the right, to use a symbol, you're shutting down the left. Depending on whether the ritual is fast, as in the spinning dance of the Sufi whirling dervishes, or slow, as in Zen meditation, watch this now, different parts of the brain are activated, perceived by the mind as a higher state of consciousness. I mean, you hear this stuff in here, and you hear it, but these are scientists. These are scientists. This is written in the Philadelphia Inquirer. And these are people who are objectively trying to figure out, does anything happen when you come into these meditative situations? Well, it does. In states of very high activity, if you look at the very last paragraph in the second column all the way down, in states of very high activity around one circuit, they say, there can be a spillover such that the dormant system activates and goes online. What? The dormant system, that which is sleeping, that which is quiet, that which is the abomination of desolation, that where those people don't go, where they have left that which is the holy place dormant. And it says here that there can be a spillover and the dormant system activates and goes online. You know what going online is. The World Wide Web. Although rare, this dual state, if you go up to, okay, that's the last sentence on the second column. This dual state can lead to a sense of tremendous release of energy that may feel like oceanic bliss or absorption into the object of contemplation. What are you contemplating on? God. What is he saying? You could be absorbed into God. And then it goes into the last column. In extreme cases, there can occur a maximal discharge of both systems, inducing brain activities perceived by the mind as the absolute unity of being. I want you, when I'm harping at you about meditation, please open this once in a while, especially at this time as to what's going on, to take it seriously and to do it. And so it says, so are the great mystic illuminations exalted throughout the ages. In the last column, you go down about the fourth paragraph, it says, so are the great mystic illuminations exalted throughout the ages, authentic glimpses into true being and the ultimate reality. And this isn't no New Age guy saying this. These are scientists talking about what happens here. Or are the revelations of enlightenment and beatific visions nothing more than brains perceiving its own activity? So it says, if you go down to about the seventh paragraph down, you see that it starts, while their data. While their data can be interpreted to mean that certain mental states are the result of specific brain activity, that assignment of causal thinking can flip, it is not plausible, they say, that the changes in brain function are the result and not the cause of changes in consciousness. It's not plausible. And then it says here, you get to the next to the last paragraph in the column in the article. Western science says matter is primary, but if you flip it around and look at which the mystics report, you could say that it's ultimately consciousness and awareness that are primary. So it's a very interesting statement, and I would ask you to hold this article close to you, because as we begin going deeper and deeper into the realm of the strange and the world of light beings that you'll be introduced to and that you'll meet. I mean, for God's sakes, what happened here with Cindy? I've been talking to them that the child that Cindy is carrying in her womb now is an angel of light, an angle of light who came into the fetus inside of her and animated, gave it life, and will nest there and is very special. What did she see? And she's a very conservative girl. I mean, she's not given to any of this. But she woke up on her couch where she had been sleeping, and there was a hand, just like in the hand in 45-55, poised right above her womb there, with no arm attached to it. Very long fingers, she said, and she could see the skin. I mean, it was there. And she wasn't afraid. She called Vinny. She said, Vinny, I want to show you something. Well, he was sleeping, and then it went away. As soon as she called Vinny's name, it went away, but she saw this. And I can tell you about people who have told me of being here on some meditation nights and have seen people. You know, I know you couldn't see it. And I know the people weren't there for anybody else to see, but it's the visitation that those who are being very sensitive are picking up on. Yes?
Even use your brother as an example of what's happening to him.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's...
Because we're classy.
When this little thing that I'm asking you to do, when you say, I'm watching myself for so-and-so, watch what happens, how powerful this is now to people that you're doing this for. Look at maybe the condition that the person had and how it changes. And I can tell you that Joan was talking about my brother, and we've been doing this for him. And I'm not going to get into all of the things, but there were physical problems and places to live. I mean, he was living in this place, and he's tending bar, and he doesn't, have any money, and we're trying to help him out, and I'm trying to insist, you got to get out of this place because it's too much, and you can't do this because he was getting too sick. So they went out, and we've been doing this meditation, watching for them. They found a nice place, a little trailer now that's located right on the waterfront. He says, I can look across the river and see Perry Como's house.
But he was totally against living in a trailer.
Yeah, he's totally against all of this stuff. But we changed his whole mindset by doing this. And the physical things, and whether it be for the cat, whether it be for whomever it is, do it and watch what happens. This is the most fantastic, powerful meditation, the most fantastic, powerful thing that you can do to change the lives of other people. I'm not saying you can heal everybody, but you'll change and you'll see positive things occur for people. By doing what? By taking 5 seconds, by closing your eyes, holding your breath. I'm watching myself for so-and-so, whoever it may be. And then do it maybe a couple of times a week, and then look at the change in their life. Practice this often. What meditation does, quite frankly, is exercise your electrical equipment so that it's usable. That's what these guys are saying through the Philadelphia Inquirer. Your pineal has become a vestige because of lack of use. Do you know what happens to your arm if you put it in a sling and you don't use it? It atrophies. That's what's happened to the pineal gland, the most important organ in the brain. That's what happens to it. It's something that once was very important, but because of lack of use induced by organized religion, it becomes a vestige. I mean, who's asking you to pay any money? I don't want your money. I'm not asking for your money. I'm not asking for your time. I'm not asking you to come here. I'm just asking you to try something. If it doesn't work, don't do it again. But I mean, for God's sakes, you've listened to these people out there in lunacy and then dropping their bombs and screaming and raping people and brutalizing animals and brutalizing nature. I mean, enough. Isn't it time to think maybe there's a better way? So let's consider the need for contact for a minute in the midst of chaos. And the chaos is coming. And it's not a bad chaos, it's a change. It was the same thing that happens when you change from winter to spring or winter to summer. I mean, you have the atmosphere, becomes screwed up. But let us consider, do you remember the Bible story of Jesus in the Bible? He's sleeping in the boat and the storm is about to capsize the boat. Well, there's a tip there that it's a myth, because nobody sleeps in the boat in the middle of a typhoon. I mean, you just don't. One guy is snoring there and the whole, that's not logical. The sleeping Jesus is the light being who is separated from you. They're not separated any longer, but you're awakening the sleeping Jesus is identifying yourself and calling out in the midst of the storm. And you know what's good about this? This is all very private. You don't do it publicly. You don't do it in front of me. You don't do it in front of your mother or your father or your brother or a sister. This is something you do in private. And nobody can ask you, did you do it? It's nobody's business. You then start to develop something between yourself and the other side. This lady wrote me on the internet and she says, there's something strange goes on in my son's bedroom. A little man sits on his pillow. I said, fine. What's strange about that? In my lifetime, I've entertained many of them. I mean, you know. But what is happening here is her son, who is not caught up in all of the teachings that you people have been subjected to, has an interaction with himself and portrays it as his little man. And you know what, probably? Her son probably has to spill out all of his bad feelings to the little man that he can't tell his mother. We were listening yesterday to Warren Epstein, who's the pet doctor. He was talking about science is finding tremendous records that kids are talking to dogs and cats and telling dogs and cats their troubles because they can't tell their parents or their friends. So they tell the dogs and the cats. So who's this little man sitting on his pillow? It's the only one in the world he can talk to. So she said, well, I'd like to get rid of this. I said, please don't. Maybe go in and talk to him yourself, the little man. So anyhow, the sleeping Jesus is in the boat. Awakening the sleeping Jesus is identifying yourself and calling out in the midst of the storm. That's why our world is screwed up. That's why everybody's ticked off. That's why everybody's bored and sulking and protesting, because you're not allowed to talk to little people anymore. You can't. If you talk to a little person, you can't tell anybody you were talking to a little person. But you do. All the time. So here then, when this light is brought back, Jesus awakes, he stills the storm. He didn't still the storm for everybody. He didn't still the storm for the whole world. He stilled the storm for those who made contact. So I want to look at, for just a minute, the chaos and the confusion that we're talking about, and it's in the book. And let's take just a look at it, because we looked before at some of these things in reference to the pineal and so forth. And we look at the idea of chaos and confusion. And Matthew 24 in the Bible is the part of the Bible that talks about this stuff. See? And you can say to me, oh, this is a lot of baloney. Okay, fine. But watch what happens over the next 6 months. Watch. And I would just shut up and you watch it happen and come back and tell me. It's okay. It says in Matthew 24, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, nor shall there ever be. It's already gone. Matthew 24, verse 21. The great tribulation that's being discussed here is what the world has already lived for. Up until that period of time, the planet Earth had never experienced atomic bombs. And you know, it's not a great tribulation to you, because you didn't experience the atomic bomb. But if you lived in Nagasaki or Hiroshima, you would know that the great tribulation came, and your family and your friends and the whole town was incinerated. And it says in the Bible, there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Never, ever, ever shall there be anything like that could have happened before. But it happened then. And not only did they drop one, they dropped 2 or 3. And never were so many people. I mean, we went to Vietnam and spread napalm and fire, and so little kids running up the street without clothes on with themselves on fire. That's Armageddon. You don't need to wait for Armageddon. It's already been here. And we did it. We were part of it. We launched it. And when the people said, I don't want to do that, well, they were traitors. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning. Never in the history of the world has there been such violence, such horror, such bloodthirsty, hideous violence carried out as has been carried out by our generation in our time. Never in the whole world put together, never was anything like this. Wars upon wars, famine, oppression of the poor, torture of the earth, atomic bombs incinerating people. These things have already happened, so now what? Matthew 24:24, there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders. They shall deceive the very elect. And you know what it is? Religion. Oh, they're going to heal everybody. They're going to heal everybody. Name it and claim it. Wave your $100 bills. They've done it all. When we were all deceived, I used to do it. I'd take it out. What's easy? If we're going to get $100, hey, here's 10. 10, give me 10. 100, I'm going to give you $1,000. You know what I did? I lost the 10. They took the 10. And we've seen staged miracles all the time. This was the great thing. You turn on your television, you'll see them to this day. They touch people on the head and the people fall over. You want to see it? Go to Atlantic City. Sands Hotel. Touches them and they're all over the floor. He didn't even touch them sometimes. He says, you, go to sleep. Boom, they fall on the floor. The power of suggestion is all it is, and it's sold as the Holy Spirit. So I said to Joan, everybody was drinking, everybody's having a time. There's these girls with these skimpy outfits, and these people are falling all over the floor. I said to Joan, the Holy Spirit is in this place. Jeez. You know what it is? There's a sucker born every minute, is whatever. And it says in Matthew 24:26, if they say to you, he's in the desert, don't go there. If they say he's in the secret chambers, don't go there. For as the lightning comes out of the east and shines unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Bing, just like that. 5 seconds. Remember, it used to be 10 seconds, and then you said that's too much of a burden, 10 seconds. 5 seconds, we said. 5 seconds. The coming of Christ consciousness is in the form of enlightenment from the east to the west, from the right side to the left. Awareness. And then it says in Matthew 24:29, immediately after the tribulation of those days, that's now, shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. The stars shall fall from heaven and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Pluto and Charon have moved, and when they moved, the whole web shook. Uranus is spinning in the opposite direction. If you could see Uranus, it spins in the opposite direction of all of the other, and then it sends out. Here's the electromagnetic fields coming out from all of the other planets. Oh, everything is nice. Very nice electromagnetic fields. Here comes Uranus, and Uranus comes like this, and the electromagnetic field is like that. Like a twisting tail screaming through the sky, coming for you. But I must be making it up. But I'm not. This is all talking about the changes in the universe. The stars falling from heaven are the changes of position. And the powers of heaven being shaken is the tremendous energy shifts that take place to supernova. What are you going to do about supernova? The single eye, where the light's going to touch the Earth in the year 2000. I didn't say that. Hubble said that. NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Agency, said. They all said. Is that... And the sun and moon being darkened is the symbolic of the darkness that extends over the earth, being the confusion and chaos brought about by the cosmic changes. And as you see, in a short while, we're going to be talking about, science is telling us now that the sun is about to come to the end, or begin an 11-year cycle, and there are going to be solar storms to play havoc with communications. And then it says in Matthew 24:30, and this is the part I want you to see. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. You go home, open a dictionary, look up the word Uranus. U-R-A-N-U-S. It means son of. In Greek, it means heaven. It describes in the dictionary as son of. Uranus is the ruling planet of the age of Aquarius. Uranus is coming with power and great glory in heaven. It talked about the tribulation, atomic bombs, and all the wars, and all the torture that we've put the oppressed people of the world under our thumb. That's over with. And then it says, then they're going to see the Son of Man coming. Uranus in the Aquarian age is coming with great power to reclaim the bride, which was taken from him by Saturn, which is Satan. Chased from Gaia, and he's now about to reclaim his bride. And Jesus in the Bible says the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and the word in Greek which it was written is Uranus. It spins off radical electromagnetic radiation. It is a planet of chaos and confusion. The kingdom of Uranus is at hand. All of the tribes shall mourn. Not the people, the tribes, the groups, the cults, the religions shall mourn, because all of their crap is going right down the toilet. And you know something else? Uranus is green. And you know something else? The eye in the center of supernova that is on fire now is green. And you know something else? The light on your front porch is Green. Or your back porch or wherever you keep it. I'll be done. Just give me 2 seconds. They asked Jesus in the Bible, they said, okay, we're going to pass over. We're going to pass over now to a whole different way, a new way of living. Because you can't, we all want to say here, well, let's just leave everything the way it is, I was telling people last night about going to the Bahamas with Joan. We went a couple times to the Bahamas, and we stayed in this hotel, and it was slot machines and dancing girls and, banana boats and, music, soca music. I mean, it's absolutely magnificent. Sands and gorgeous stuff and food and color. The most beautiful place in the world. We got on a bus one day, and we went 2 blocks in, and there were people living under cardboard. I said, I ain't going back here. That's not fair. Those people can't have a place to live, and they got all of these. I ain't going back there. That's not right. So what happens? We think everything is wonderful. Oh, the prosperity is good. Oh, look at the inflation is low and all of this stuff. We got it good. People are still living under cardboard. That's not good. And the one who's coming says, I'm glad you're happy, but you got to take care of the people living under cardboard too. And so if you're not going to take care of the people living under cardboard, somebody's coming to take care of them himself. And a lot of people are going to be mad about that because we want people to live under cardboard. And so it said in Luke 22:10, they asked him, when will this Passover take place? And he said, when you see the man with the pitcher of water. Luke 22:10. When you see the man with the pitcher of water, follow him into the house in which he enters. What house does he enter? What house is the man with the pitcher of water? The house of Aquarius. Follow him into the house, and he'll show you a large upper room furnished, the higher realms of divine mind. Furnished means you don't bring anything, for there is nothing needed. All you have to do is show up. But you have to go to the upper room. You have to follow the man with the pitcher of water. You have to go to the upper room. And yes, you can do that in 5 seconds. And so the chaos and confusion is specific as to the time of the Son of Man, which is Uranus. Because it says in Matthew 24:38, for as in the days that were before the flood, and it's right here now, your unemployment is low, your inflation is low, everybody's got a job, everybody's prosperous, people are going on vacations. As in the days of the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered in the ark, and nobody knew until the flood came and took him away. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be, and the coming of the Son of Man is Uranus, and it's coming. And it's there. And all you have to do is do what you know how to do. Redirect, collapse the wave, get yourself harmonizing with the power that's coming in. You've identified yourself as light. You've identified yourself as being from the light. And simply now carry forth your identity with that tremendous change, that tremendous power which is coming down upon the earth, and flow into harmony with it. The power of Uranus will scream down upon the earth, and even today, your scientists and your politicians are studying what to do about Y2K, what to do about the solar storms, what to do about global warming, and what to do about something that they can do about nothing. And the words of Jesus says, watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord comes. Watch, for you don't know when the master of the house comes, lest suddenly he comes and finds you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. And how clear does it have to be? Exercise your pineal, make contact with your family. Don't just wait until it comes. As what comes? And then we'll go on and we'll start looking at what the actual news is showing us is coming down upon the earth today. So it's an exciting time. There is absolutely nothing for you to be afraid of in the midst of all this, if you're willing to trust that the universe, God, knows best, and the change that is coming upon the earth has to be made for all to share in the bounty of the earth, and not just for a select few. If you're willing to say to that, and you're willing to walk arm in arm with everybody regardless of their sex, of their gender, of their color, of who they are, and you're willing to envelop all of nature and be one, then you're fine. You get in and harmonize, as I told you, you'll be fine. But it's those who want to maintain the status quo, which is oppressive,
hurting. I mean, most people, folks, they get born and they are so stressed they're having 2, 3, 4 jobs just to survive, and they die and they never even know they showed up. They did. They put them in a box, they're gone, they never had any fun, they never did anything. I'll tell you, I hope he doesn't get this, but my brother's working.
Turn the TV off now. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.